Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? I figure I start a couple of minutes early so I can say hello to you all because we have a lot of things to talk about today. And I want to get through it in about an hour or so I can go have dinner. So, hey, thank you very much, Paula, for becoming a member of the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. Good to see you here today. JT, hello. Evita, how are you doing? Say hello to JR. JR, how you doing? Let's see. Ogun, how are you doing? Fake person. Yarn Preppers in the house. How you doing? Dale, how you doing? Nancy McDaniel, hello, all the way from Florida. Crazy Backyard Chicken Man, how you doing? Jan is in the house. All of our moderators are in the house. Whoa, I haven't seen Copernicus yet. Hogzilla, how are you? Nostradamus, good to see you. Let's see, who else do we have? She-Wolf is here. Butch Graves, Robert Jameson. Give me a number one if I'm coming in loud and clear. I have the very best coverage I've ever had today as far as upload speeds. So I have an upload speed of like 17. I was like, oh my goodness, incredible. So hopefully I'm coming in loud and clear. Hello, B. Walker, good to see you. John, how you doing? Loretta? Who else do we have here? Who's your pioneers in the house? Good to see you. Gelly, how are you? Gelly, I'm not a subscriber. I guess that leaves me out. I don't know what you're talking about, Gelly, but welcome anyways. Dragonfly Dreams is in the house. Hogzilla. Sharon, Nancy. Jean Eaton, hello. Scott Hummer's in the house. Ogun, thank you very much, Ogun, for becoming a member of the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. Welcome. Aunt B is here. Jean Eaton. Professor J.T. Springton, or Professor Toe. Rosemary Song. Trucker Hersey's here. How you doing, Trucker Hersey? Let's see. Gardening is my space. How are you? Happy Mac. How you doing, Happy Mac? Randy Brown, Jordan, PJ, Linda Bop, Jeremy, Elizabeth, JB, Rancho Rey, Miss Melody, hello. Prepper Book Club, Sherry, Disney Up is here. G's Wicklin or Wyklin. Renee Tyler, Barbara Pack, Cuban Nurse Prepper is here. Tommy, Disabled and Prepping, say hello to the pup. YTU, what's up, YTU? Good to see you. Jason, Ralph, Dana Randall, Auntie Pam or Pam, Lisa McCormick, how are you? Jackie R, Danny Harris, L.A. Torres, Lisa Foster, hello. Deborah Ramirez is here. Alice Channel is here. Trisha. Let me see. Mel's Variety, hello. Steph L. Mark Ray. Chastity Renee. Catherine. Betty Randall. MG in the D. Fran Moyer, how you doing? Missy. Let's see. This is a good one. Donham Tribuli. Mama Preps. Granny. Melissa, Tammy, DTR, how are you? Heather Candanedo, Mary, Promised Land Homestead, Judy Prepper, Lori Hubert, Band Again, Brandy Pierce, Joshua Ryman, all the way from Wisconsin. Hello, Colleen, Belinda Aiken, Mark, BK1008, Bonnie Keller, Kathy, Jamie Fairley, how are you doing? D's Crafts, Tony Olivares, Mimi is here. Good afternoon to you. How you doing, Troll? Dolly. Let's see, who else do we have here? Cult Leader is here. Deborah E.T. Oh, I'm getting ones all over the place. Awesome. Okay, good. I'm coming in good then. Excuse me. Hello, Nancy, Corey Primus. How are you doing? All the way from Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome, Corey. That's awesome. Corey is from Trinidad, which means that Corey knows all about oxtail. Don't you, Corey? One of the very best pieces of meat that people didn't know anything about. And then when they found out, forget it. Now you can't get it for less than $7 a pound. How you doing, Raven P? Ken Osborne, getting ones. All right. Thank you for that. Jeffrey Lindquist is here. Jean Blair, how you doing? Aunt B, Missy. Tonette is in the house. How you doing, Tonette? Say hello to the hubby. Where are we at? Okay, we're all right. We're at 3 o'clock. Doggone it. How you doing? I'm going to rush down, so forgive me if I miss you, but I really do want to get into this, ladies and gentlemen, because we have a lot to talk about. Judah's Pig, how you doing? Queen Nee, how you doing? Shannon, hello. Granny Prepper, Johnny. Montana Living. Chad Carter from Minnesota, how you doing? Jennifer Hunt, how are you? Rich Mountains, thank you, Rich Mountains, for the super sticker. Suzanne Eaglet is in the house, bringing it down. Yes, I do, Evita. I always turn on the subscribers only mode, and I didn't even know that you guys caught on to that. But Evita asked, a message came on the chat that said that you turn on the subscribers only mode. Yes, I do. You know why I do that? And this is a little secret that I can share with you all who have YouTube channels and do live streams, because that keeps the majority of the trolls out. That's why. If I have subscribers only, and that's usually why why we don't get a whole bunch of people on our live streams, which I'm fine with, is because when you put the subscribers only, it's subscribers. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can come on the live. If not, you can listen and everything. However, it does help to keep a lot of the trolls out. So a troll probably usually doesn't want to bother with subscribing to a channel just so he can go on there and troll a channel. So that's why I do that. Obviously, I'm selective when I do my live streams because I want to have a good time, and I don't want 100 people coming over that don't want anything to do with us except to be a pain in the butt come over. So yeah, that's why I turned that on. But anyone is welcome, and it's free to push the subscriber button. Okay, Rosemary, how you doing? Christy H, thank you for becoming a member of the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. Let me see. Oh, isn't that too bad? Disabled and prepping. I'm really sorry to hear that. You know, there was a time in my life where I could have cared less if I had an animal and it passed away. You know, I had a very heavy heart. But now now if something happens to even to dog, all right, you all know that I have a partiality towards karma. But even if something happened to dog, I would be extremely sad, extremely sad. So I'm really sorry to hear that. That's too bad. Hey, how you doing, Buzz? Good to see you. Jason. Let's see. Oops, how you doing? All right, bring it on down. I'm going to go ahead and do a Q&A after we finish for a few minutes, depending on how we're doing on time, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and whatever when I talk about a certain subject matter, we'll give it about 5 minutes or so of interacting back and forth so that I can see what your response to it is and what you think about it, and we can chat about it for a little bit. But I really do want to get going. So let me go ahead and give you the backdrop to this. Jacqueline Johnson, how you doing? Good to see you. FL Boys Shuffle, out of time. Aunt B, good to see you all. So, ladies and gentlemen, with everything that we see in the news, you all know that the mainstream media is garbage for the most part. I would say, my opinion, of course, just in case we have someone here that works for the mainstream media, right? But that is my opinion. It's garbage. You're given the news that they want you to hear. You're not given everything that you should know, especially things that are very important. So I didn't spend a lot of time. I spent probably about 20, 30 minutes this morning looking up things that are going on right now that no one's really talking about, that you don't really hear in the mainstream media. And these are things that are very serious, things that really affect our country. And I'm sure that out of the 15 things that I looked up, like I said, it took me 20, 30 minutes to look it all up. I'm sure there's probably multiples of that we can still find, that we need to know about, that the public needs to know about, that should be getting talked about in the media or in other social media venues. So I wanted to go ahead and start out with the first thing that I talked about today. So if you saw the video that I put out this morning, It was a prelude to this live stream. I talked about on that video on, do you all know that we still have people, service members in Syria? We went into Syria back in, I believe it was 2014, 2015. We went into Syria, into a country where they never attacked us, but we went there anyways. And the reasons why we went there maybe weren't the reasons that we were given. You know, I pointed out on that video that they told us about what was going on in Syria, that it has something to do with gas, you know, with the government of that country using gas on its own people. But how many times, ladies and gentlemen, have we been lied into going to war? How many times have we been lied to? Have we been told by our leaders? Have we been lied to by generals, by people in Congress, to tell us that we need to go somewhere to send our children to war? And then years later, after all of the harm was done, then we find out the truth. And the truth was not what they were telling us. So people still need to know about this. People still need to talk about this, that we actually have service members, military members in Syria, right? Guarding one of the biggest oil fields that there is in the world and natural gas fields that there is in the world. People need to know that not during this administration, but during the last administration, that we were taking that oil and we were taking that gas away from the Syrian people. That belongs to them. We were taking it and giving it to someone else. People need to know this before we go to another war. That way they can learn to ask the questions that really matter. That way they can do research before they bless their children to go off to another country to shoot at someone that never did anything to them or never put any harm upon them. All right. And let's see. That's the first one that I wanted to cover. And like I said, I did a video about that this morning. I'm not sure how many of you saw that one, but that's what I wanted to cover. And that's one of the things that we don't hear about. And we've been there for what, going on 7-8 years now? And we still have servicemen dying there. On that video, I showed you a picture of a specialist who just lost his life there about a year ago or so. No, less than a year ago. I believe it was in August or February of 2022. So we still have service members in Syria. They're still, dying over there. For what, ladies and gentlemen? That's the question. For what? Why are we sending our children over there? So that they can come back home in body bags. And that's the first one. And I'm going to pause for a little bit after I cover each one. That way I can say hello to anyone I missed. Lady Blue Eyes, how you doing? And I'm going to try to put chapters on this live stream, hopefully by tomorrow morning. That way anyone that missed it or anyone that can't stay for the whole thing can come back and just go through the chapters instead of having to try to stop at any given place. How you doing, Joel? Good to see you. Donna, hello. Mark. Big John is in the house. How you doing, Big John? How you doing, Steve? Yes, we are live right now. We are live. Fake person is here. Bell Prepper, how you doing? Raven P. Joel Eichner. Yeah, definitely never look back. We still have service members all over the world, and I'm going to cover that. That's something that probably the average person doesn't know about as well. But before we cover that, let's go ahead and cover this. When was the last time, all right? When was the last time that you heard about the war that's going on between Saudi Arabia and Yemen? It's a war that's been going on since, I think since about 2015 or so. Yeah, since 2015. There's a war that's been going on with Saudi Arabia and Yemen. And Saudi Arabia is pretty much in the process of annihilating Yemenis people with American-made weapons. And I'm going to read this to you verbatim, all right? By late 2022, more than 17.8 million people, including 9.2 million children, lacked access to safe drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene services due to this war. The country continues to experience regular outbreaks of cholera, measles, diphtheria, and other preventable diseases. Through 2021, ladies and gentlemen, this is the best number I could find. This was through 2021. 400,000 people in Yemen have died, and most of them have been civilians. The UN has projected that as of now, because of all of the damage that's been done to their health for the lack of medicine, food, clean living conditions, that by the year 2030, 1.3 million will have died. Even if the war stopped now, by the year 2030, because of all of the damage that's been done already, 1.3 million people will have died. And we've been supplying, arms to Saudi Arabia for all of these years, ladies and gentlemen. Can anyone say why? Does anyone know why we've been supplying arms to Saudi Arabia for all of these years? Well, it probably has a little something to do with the petrodollar, huh? And that's another thing that people aren't really talking about. Do you hear all of these activists that are against war talking about Yemen anymore? Do you hear anyone in government? Do you hear any Republicans or any Democrats talking about the war in Yemen, talking about how many innocent children are dying of starvation? No, ladies and gentlemen, but that's our doing. And it really, well, you have to understand, in case there's anyone here that's new, when I say our, I mean our governments, all right? Governments are the only entities that can declare war or act within a war, right? They're the ones that tell people go or don't go. So we have to ask these questions instead of looking at the mainstream media and going through their narrative. Because you see, the mainstream media, they don't always lie, but they love to tell partial truths that lead you to believe what they want you to think. Well, Lisa, the reason why the U.S. is not helping those countries is because the U.S. government is complicit in the destruction of those countries. Right? So Syria had a president that was not a puppet. Right. And when I talk about these things, I don't even know what the president or the government structure is like in Yemen. I know that in Syria, they have a president that we didn't like, I think al-Assad or something like that, but he was democratically elected. If he's such a bad guy, then the people elected him. They're getting what they're getting. They're getting what they're getting. What business do we have going in there, making excuses to go in there so that we can then, confiscate their oil and their gas? And on top of that, part of the land that's being occupied is land that has a lot of water, and they need that. And we've pretty much turned that country into a third world country. Look at what happened in Libya. That country is a failed country because of our interventionist policies. Why can't we just learn to mind our own business? I'm sure that everyone in the world, every person in the world, with the exception of a very few, maybe less than 1%, every person in the world, what they want is they want to live a peaceful life. They don't want to see their children go off to war and have to take someone else's lives or lose their lives because someone said so. That will never touch the battlefield. People want to live. They want freedom. They want to be able to work, put food on the table, and enjoy their family with the very limited amount of time that we've been given on this earth. This life is a gift. And the people that sit on their ivory towers, they could care less how much time we have on this earth, as long as we do the bidding for them. And that's why we have to ask questions. We have to voice these things out. These are great talking points for when people go nuts. You know those crazies that don't want to hear anything, that anything you say, you're a racist. Water is wet, you're a racist. Water's not wet. I was told water was not wet. So if you're saying water is wet, then you must be a racist. But how can I be a racist? Water is wet, you're a racist. You know who I'm talking about. We have to be able to bring this back and put it back in their face. But the fact of the matter is this, is that it doesn't matter. Facts don't matter anymore. To a certain group of people, facts do not matter. You can show it to them in their face, put it right in front of their face, and facts don't matter. But we need to remember these things because, ladies and gentlemen, if we go into the digital world that I think we're going to be going into, a lot of these things are going to be erased. And it's going to be up to the elders to remind their children and provide them with the lessons that they learn through their lives so that they don't make these same mistakes. We are always hopeful that the next generation, the generation after that, won't make the same mistakes that we saw our generations or our previous generations make. But if all we listen to is the propaganda that we're fed through the programming tube, then we're never going to remember those things, the things that really matter. The things that we know happen, even though they're telling us they're not. And the things that are still happening, we have to question everything. I think that one of the most patriotic things to do is to criticize your government at every turn. And whenever I talk like that, I always think in the back of my head, man, I'm really putting a target on me because I just saw the video that Doug and Stacy put out that Doug was talking about the FBI targeting certain groups of people. Oh, well, I will never willingly take my own life. That is on the record, ladies and gentlemen, all right? And I laugh, but it's actually a serious thing. It's probably something that people ought to say on the record on a platform where it is recorded. All right, so going on to the next one. Right. Between the federal government and the states in the last, 4 decades or so, more than $3 trillion, ladies and gentlemen, between the federal government and the states governments, $3 trillion have been spent on the war on drugs. However, in 2022, we had over 100,000 deaths due to overdose with the drug fentanyl. So how's that war on drug working, ladies and gentlemen? Where's the money gone? Where's the money? Is anybody talking about that? I know I did a video about the deaths due to the overdose of fentanyl here not too long ago, but where is it being talked about? Are the things that I covered, do you think maybe more important than some of the things that you're seeing in the news right now? Let's see. Here's another one. The U.S. makes up about 5% of the world population, right? So we make up about 5%, maybe a little less of the world's population, ladies and gentlemen. However, we have the most incarcerations of any country in the world. So here in the United States, where we're supposed to be the richest country in the world, supposedly, right? Richest, wealthiest, whatever it is that they say that we are, freest. We have the most prisoners than any country in the world. And we only make up about 4.5% of the world's population. I wonder why that is. Can anyone tell me why that is? Why we have the most prisoners than any other country? Well, let me tell you what I think. It's because just like there is a military industrial complex, there is a prison industrial complex that is there for profit and not in order to rehabilitate. I actually saw a video. This was a while back about the prison system in Japan. And the prison system in Japan is actually pretty good because the way that they do it over there is almost like a boot camp. So if someone commits a crime and they go to prison, they're treated like if they were on boot camp. They have, I'm going to call them a drill sergeant, but they have like an officer or a drill sergeant that's assigned to them, and they're with them all day long, from the time they wake up to the time they go back to their rooms to go to bed. And they make them learn. They make them learn how to read if they don't know how to read. They make them take classes, but their days are completely full of productive things that they're doing in order to better themselves. And I was like, wow, that is actually a really good prison system because they're given structure, they're given education, and they make them work so that they can earn their stay there, although they've already earned it in other ways. Let's see, what's the next one? Oh, here we go. Well, everyone here knows about this if you've been following me long enough. Right now, our national debt is at $31.6 trillion, ladies and gentlemen, which equals to $247,000 per taxpayer. But that's not even the worst part of it. Right now, we have unfunded liabilities that total $182 trillion, which equals to $543,000 per taxpayer. And a little secret that's never talked about, especially on the mainstream media, I don't think I've ever heard this talked about on the mainstream media. Even when, I don't really watch it that much. I just watch clips here or there, but I really haven't heard it been talked about a lot in other channels as well. Is that the little secret that the American people don't know is that the national debt can never be paid off. It's impossible. The system was made in a way so that the national debt can never, ever, ever be paid off. It is impossible that the national debt is paid off. Impossible. Because if it were, it would crash the system and the U.S. would default. So that's probably something that's not talked about very often, but it is something that directly impacts the lives of every single American every single day. And talking about a national debt of 31.6 trillion and a unfunded liabilities debt of 182 trillion, the United States of America has 750 plus military bases across more than 80 countries. And across those 80 nations, 170,000 service members. So we have over 750,000 military bases spread out across 80 plus countries, which equals to 170,000 plus service members serving overseas, while our borders are completely open and crime in the South is exploding because a lot of the people that come through those borders that are not checked aren't here to do good things. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and just in case, I don't want to trigger anyone, I think those of you that have been here for a while will understand I am all for immigration, as long as it's legal immigration. You come in the front door, make sure you knock first. And then once you check your credentials, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to stay and try to see if you can achieve that American dream. Unfortunately, right now, the American dream is turning into an American nightmare. Why? Because of the policies, the regulations, the laws, the executive orders by edict. An executive order is probably one of, if not the most unconstitutional thing that a president of the United States can do. Because what that person is saying, and I don't care who does it. I don't care who does it. And let me tell you what an executive order is after I say this. What that person is saying that passes an executive order is that the Constitution doesn't matter. It's that your vote doesn't matter. I don't care what Congress says. I'm going to pass this by edict because I say so. That's what an executive order is, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that I understand what an executive order is supposed to be used for. An executive order is a tool that the president can use in order to highlight a law. Like, for example, the Second Amendment. The president can pass an executive order and say, no state shall infringe on the Second Amendment, period, no matter what. That is an executive order that is used to highlight a law that is already constitutional, not to make your own laws. But we're no longer a country that follows the rule of law. So I guess it doesn't matter anymore whether our laws are passed by one or by the ones that we elected to represent us. And as we've gifted, right, we are a very generous nation for not having anything. For being bankrupt, we're a very generous nation. But as we've gifted almost $200 billion, all right, for the efforts of the big U over in Eastern Europe to fight their war, we here in the United States have almost 600,000 Americans that are homeless. At the same time that we are taking people that are coming into our country unlawfully and putting them up in hotels, providing them with housing, we have almost 600,000 Americans here in the United States that are homeless. Kind of disgusting, isn't it? We're getting through this a lot faster than I thought. That's because I'm not stopping to read comments. Yes, that's right, Jason. Jason Ponto says, All fiat currencies turn to dust, and the US dollar is a fiat currency that will soon turn to dust as well. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And how many people are talking about this one right here? This is a pretty interesting one. The big four, and I'm going to tell you who the big four are. The big four are crushing our family cattle ranchers, pretty much bankrupting them. People that have been living on their lands for generations, growing the beef, the all-American beef that we've grown to love, and they're being bankrupted. And many of them actually, that we don't hear about, ladies and gentlemen, are actually taking their own lives because they can't bear not to be able to do what it is that they were born to do. And that is grow beef. That's what they love to do. Let me go ahead and read this for you real quick. The price of meat in stores is rising, but cattle producers around the country say they are not seeing any profit. I wonder why. Instead, some ranchers are being forced to give up their legacy because of a meat packing monopoly between the big four, which are JBS, Cargill, Tyson, and National Beef. How many of you have been hearing about this all over the news? These are the things, or these are only some of the things that really matter to our country. But no one knows about them, or very few people know about these things. Because again, as I've told you 100 times, the MSM, or the legacy media, as they're like to be called nowadays, they only tell people what they want you to know. They tell people what they want them to think. And of course, we all know that they are in the pockets of the government, who, in my opinion, is in the pocket of entities that are outside of our borders. And let me go ahead and finish it off with this one, ladies and gentlemen. For those people that are wondering why it is that the president is asking oil companies, let me get this off. The president here in a speech that he gave not too long ago was talking about how he's asking oil companies, hey, can you speed up your production? Can you get your production up? Can you can you make more gasoline? That way the price of gasoline won't go down. Won't go up anymore, right? And you know what the oil companies are saying? Why in the world would we invest in more exploration? Why would we invest in upkeeping our facilities to last another 10 or 20 years? Why would we invest billions of dollars in all of these things to produce energy for the United States when you yourself, Mr. President, told us that you were going to shut us down? Does it make sense, ladies and gentlemen? If you were the owner of a company that you were told your company is going to be shut down in 10 years, would you be thinking about investing more in your company, or will you be thinking about making as much money as you can now? That way, when the time comes that you have to divest, that you will have made money. All right, because all businesses are there for one reason, and that's to make money. And that's a good thing, because if a business succeeds, it means that it's producing a product that a customer is purchasing. So that is a good thing if a business makes money. But why would oil companies, why would gas companies invest any new capital into production, into exploration, into upkeep, into maintenance, if they know that their business is going to go up in dust? Just like the president said, we're going to run you out of business. So all of these problems, ladies and gentlemen, that we have, and there's probably a whole bunch more that I didn't cover. These were 15. I wanted to keep it down a little bit so it wouldn't take too long to go through them. But there's a whole bunch more things that we need to know about that we're not being told about. Instead, they're telling us about UFOs. The Navy has been put on record in saying from their pilots that they have been encountering these UFOs for probably the last couple of decades now. But all of a sudden, everything's about UFOs. Everything's about UFOs now, ladies and gentlemen, all of a sudden. Why didn't they tell us about these encounters 10 years ago or 15 years ago when they started happening? Or before then? It was probably before then. Why didn't they tell us about it then? But all of a sudden now, that's the big story. Pretty much what I'm saying is that you have to learn to think for yourselves. You can't take anyone's word. And if you listen to someone, for example, if you're listening to what I'm saying, even me, if I was you listening to me, I wouldn't take my word. I would go do my own research. That way you can learn how to think for yourself instead of listening to the crowd or the person that screams the loudest and then just going along to get along. That is one of the reasons, in my opinion, why we are in the spot that we're in right now. The United States, ladies and gentlemen, is, and I feel terrible to have to say this, is with a heavy heart because I love this country. I love my countrymen. All right, the United States is going downhill, and there's no uphill. We're gonna hit rock bottom. We are gonna hit rock bottom before things get better. It's gonna be a tough journey till we get to the other side, and that is why I say that the best thing that we can do, in addition to staying advised to what's going on in the world, not just in your little bubble, not just in CNBC or MSNBC or CNN or Fox or whatever it is to prepare. Because if you think that the government cares about you, just take a look at Ohio. Take a look at what's going on there now. So having said that, look at that. That's not bad. 36 minutes. 36 minutes. So now I'm going to go ahead and bring it all the way to the bottom, okay? And we can spend about 20, 25 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, doing a little bit of Q&A, saying hello to a few of you. Hello, Bonnie. How are you? Superman. Wait a minute. I like this right here. Where is this? How are you doing? Superman, Patriot, Street Fighter. All right. Let's see. Oki Khan, how are you? If you're going to have a question or something that you want to share with the community, please put it all in caps. All right. So hopefully I can catch it. And that's the reason why I put the 40-second delay, is so that hopefully I can catch some, if not most, of the questions that are asked. So that's why I do that, ladies and gentlemen. It's not to try to get under your skin. Oh, man, I know who this is. R.I.P. Raquel Welch. I just forget who that is. I can't picture her, but I know the name. Hey, how you doing, Tina? All the way from Ohio. I hope you're doing well. Make sure you have a reverse osmosis. I just contacted my brother today, and I asked him, I says, hey, do you have a water filtration system for the water that you use for cooking and drinking? And he says, yes, I do. I'm like, good. And you know what? Let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. Even if you don't live in Ohio, ladies and gentlemen, every single household in America should have a reverse osmosis system, either a counter reverse osmosis system or an under the sink reverse osmosis system. Every household. All right. Because by the time that you find out that the water that you're drinking is bad, because you've been told for several years that it's good, it's going to be too late. So why take that chance? Everyone should have a reverse osmosis system. I have several of them on my Amazon storefront, and I think I have that SimPure, which is the countertop reverse osmosis system that I reviewed in my Amazon storefront as well. But if it's not there, just look for SimPure, SIMPURE. It's a very good filtration system, reverse osmosis. I'm not sure what the price is right now. I know that when I reviewed it, they were on sale, but it's still very worth having, and it's plug and play. Me too. How you doing? Echo Drilling, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see all of you, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a good week. Happy Hump Day, by the way. Yes, Hunter Moon, you nailed it. I don't know if you watched my last video, but that's what I said. I said we have hope. We do have hope, because there are enough red-blooded American patriots in these United States of America left that there is hope for our future generations. However, I believe that hope is going to come after the crash, because there will be a crash of one way or another. There will be one. Let's see. How you doing, Joel Eichner? How are you doing? Bobby Davis? Wow, that is a pretty darn good deal, Rich Mountains. Rich Mountain says, I traded 18 ounces of silver Silver Eagles for 3 cords of split oak firewood. That is a great deal, to tell you the truth. 3 cords of firewood in Alaska during the winter, you're looking at between $1,200 to $1,500. All right, that's a great deal. S.J. Mullen, how are you? Good to see you. Oh, this, I think I remember. I think I can picture her. I don't remember. I'm not that big into, I haven't watched TV in a very long time. She Wolf asks, do you know of any fundraisers being held for the people of East Palestine, Ohio? I do not. I do not know of any. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, that disaster is going to be one that lasts a very long time. I am very worried about the food supply in that area. So I do know that there's a lot of agriculture in that area. But not only that, of course, first and foremost, the people. People are not, from what I understand, people are already being told, hey, yeah, you can go back home. And I don't know. With as toxic that chemical is, the main one that was released, that was burned off into the air, with as toxic as that is, man, I don't know how people are going to be able to go back home safely. Christy H, how you doing? Miss Amy's Creations, how are you? Good to see you. Hello, Izzy. Pat Riot, how are you doing? White Tigress, how are you doing? How you doing, Mad Dog? Linda Bob asks, how far into Pennsylvania do you think the chemical burning stuff will go? I'm not sure, but there is a map out there that actually shows how the wind is taking it away. So there is a map out there. I don't know if I can look it up. Let me see if I can look it up. No, I can't. It's not readily available for me. Yeah, if I remember tomorrow during tomorrow's video, which I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. It depends on what's going on. I actually have a couple of reviews going on, but that I have to do. But I wanted to take a break from doing reviews for a while, so I told the companies, hey, I'll do them towards the end of February. I'm not going to do them now. But anyways, oh, by the way, talking about reviews, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, Opes was not able to get me the Mega 5, all right? The Opes Mega 5 here on time before they launch. But I wanted to remind you all that they launch tomorrow, okay? And no, they didn't pay me to do this or nothing like that. I really like the Opes company, and I really like their product. And I have nothing to gain from this, but I just wanted to show you that tomorrow is going to be their launch for the Opes Mega 5, for that guy right there, which is a 5,000 watt hour main unit, and it offers an additional 5,000 watt hour external battery. So if you guys have been looking into this, tomorrow is the launch date, and they're giving like 34% off, and it's through Indiegogo. It's through Indiegogo. So I went ahead and left the link to Indiegogo on the description of this video if you guys want to check that out, because unfortunately, I won't be able to review it until it gets here. I actually had to call the shipping company because the unit that they sent me is stuck in Washington because the company forgot to add an invoice with it. So I had to contact them, contact my rep over at Opes, and they went ahead and fixed it. But they actually have to put that on a boat, on a ship. So it's going to have to hit the water on a ship, get to Anchorage, and then it be ground delivered all the way up here to Fairbanks. So it'll probably be a while before I get it, but as soon as I get it, I'm going to go ahead and give it a good review. I'm just very excited because I think it's going to be an awesome machine. Buzz, I just don't have the memory that I used to have, okay? And I mean, I've been married 31 going on 32 years, so I don't really have any business looking at any other women. Hey, look at this. Only in my dreams in the house. Hello, Anna. It's so nice to see you. Let's see. Anna says shelter in place order for Tucson. Oh, really? For Arizona? Oh, goodness. Yeah. Well, it's good to see you, Anna. Very nice to see you. I hope you're doing well, along with your husband and your two boys. Hello, Tina. Tina, good question, Tina. I mean, Liz, good question, Liz. What does reverse osmosis do? It takes out like 99.9999999 of pretty much anything in that water. It pretty much gives you pure water. And it takes out everything, even the minerals. So some people don't like reverse osmosis because they say, well, what about the minerals in the water that you need? They're good for you. Well, the way that I see it is that if you eat, then you're getting your electrolytes and you're going to be fine. You don't need the minerals in the water because you're going to be finding them in your food. Food is usually made up of mostly water anyways, so the minerals are in there anyways. But reverse osmosis just pretty much takes water that's not clean, and it pretty much purifies it to almost zero particulates per million, right, of total dissolved solids. Right, that's what it does. I hope that answered your question, Liz. If you want to check out the video that I did, Liz, on the Simpure, Simpure, reverse osmosis system, check that video out and you'll have a really good idea of exactly what happens. Because I actually took a can of soda and put it through that machine, and the only thing that came out the other side was water, right? So that's what they do. And I think that every family in the entire country ought to have, instead of sending $50 billion overseas, I don't know, if we're going to print the money anyways, and if we're going to be a socialist country anyways, and you're going to be printing money out of thin air anyways, why don't you just send every family in America a reverse osmosis system then? Right? Because if we're going to crash anyways from printing so much money and being in so much debt, might as well get something good out of it. In a reverse osmosis system, I would say that if you don't have one, it should be priority in your preps. It should be an everyday thing that you use. It's not something to prepare with. It's something that you need in your life. That way you can make sure you're drinking healthy water all the time. And on top of that, once you've used it for a year, it's already paid for itself. If you consider how much bottled water you buy at the store or the gas station or whatever, once you use a reverse osmosis system for a year or less, depending on how much you use it, how much water you consume, it's already paid off for itself. So in my opinion, it's a no-brainer. Hey, how you doing, Tab P? Good to see you. Hello, Jade. Good to see you. Addis Akers, how are you? Steve S., how are you doing? Stephen S., I don't have any animals yet except for my pups and my cats, but I will be getting chickens this year because they're actually already ordered. So I will be having some chickens. I will be getting that chicken coop done. My buddy actually told me that he'd come and help me out, put the roof on. Island Girl, how long does water bottle last? I would not store bottled water like bottled water that you bought at the store, right? I would not store for more than 6 months. I'd make sure that I rotate through it at least every 6 months. Before I store bottled water, though, like I'd rather just buy some of those blue cubes, water containers that are like 5 gallons or 7 gallons. I'd rather store it that way. In my opinion, it's a lot cheaper. And all you got to do is just rotate that out every 6 months as well. And with those blue cubes or blue tanks, containers, I would just put regular tap water in there that went through a regular household filter and not a reverse osmosis filter. I would just put that because it's already got chlorine in it. Or if you put reverse osmosis water in one of those, put away for a while, then I would put a little bit of water treatment in there just to make sure that no germs that might have gone in there can grow. So, but I would still rotate them. JT asks, how can yogurt be preserved for long term? The only idea that I know of about preserving yogurt for long term is to freeze dry it. That's it. But I mean, yogurt is a live culture. Yogurt has live bacteria in it. So it's not going to last forever. It's eventually going to go bad. Even if you have it in the refrigerator, it will start molding. Probably about in a month after you bring it in. Let's say you buy a can of yogurt at the store. Probably about a month to 6 weeks after, even in a refrigerator, it's going to start molding. Hunter, what do you think about Nikki Haley for president? I have no idea what her stance is, and I don't really care to know. To tell you the truth, I'm just not a politics guy. To tell you the truth, and I'm not saying that there aren't some politicians that are better than others. There's definitely some politicians that are better than others, but the way that I see politics is depending on what side of the aisle is at the head of the table at any given time, depends on how fast that train is moving towards the wall. That's all it is, ladies and gentlemen, because eventually we will have a different form of governance, right? Eventually we will have a different form of governance because eventually we're going to have a different type of money, all right? And the type of money that a government uses is what allows the government to be how it is. Look at how our government is now, how they spend without our permission. It's because they're using fake money and they can pretty much make it out of thin air, right? I mean, look at this. Here, I forgot what it is. Yes, the president here, I saw something in an article yesterday. I might have covered it in yesterday's video, where they're going to spend $27 billion on some Green New Deal initiative, right? Did you see the list of stuff that I just talked about? We've got 600,000 Americans that are homeless. We've got a porous border. We've got 100,000 Americans a year dying from overdoses. But they're going to spend $26 billion on some green stuff. Like I said, it depends on what kind of money a government can spend, depends on what kind of government it's going to be. It depends on whether it holds the power or whether we, the people, hold the power. When sound money is involved in government, the people hold the power. When fiat currency, fake money is involved with government, look at the government now. Look at how big it's gotten off of our backs. Because inflation does nothing, ladies and gentlemen, but one thing, and that is steal your wealth, steal your time. So I don't really look too deep into, politics. Yes, there are some that will slow down the train just a little bit, but that train is eventually going to hit that wall. Linda Bot, yeah, I seen that video. It doesn't matter to me what kind of reverse osmosis system you get, but get one. I don't care if you get the one that I like. I don't care if you get the one that Pinball put out. I don't care, but get one and use it. Make sure you use it. All right. So yeah, get whichever reverse osmosis system you like the best, as long as it works. Make sure you get one. Let me see. Yup, that's me. How you doing? AP, do you believe that we will have a very slow, complete collapse or sudden? Well, we've been having a collapse. The United States of America has been having a collapse for the last 51 years, right? Ever since we went on a fiat monetary system, all right? Ever since Nixon gave away the control of our currency to the Federal Reserve, we've been having a collapse. All you have to do is take a look at the charts, right? So it's been a very slow and drawn out collapse. But the problem is that with a collapse, it always starts out slow and it picks up speed. And then the last 5 or 10% of the collapse happens very fast. So you can tell that it's been accelerating. I mean, look at inflation, right? Look at our unemployment number, all right? And by the way, the funny thing is about the low unemployment number that the government says that we have. The funny thing is that right before a big recession, we always have a very low unemployment number. So if you look at the charts, it's actually telling you that we're going into a major recession. I think it's going to end up being a depression. But, you can take a look back in history and see that right before each recession that we have, that unemployment was really low before each recession we've had. So that's another indicator. But I think that the collapse will come. The last 5 to 10% of the collapse is going to be fast. Take a look at the chart for Germany when they went through their hyperinflation. They were pretty flat at first. It took them 5 years. They were pretty flat. And then I think in around year number 3 or so, their mark was being valued at, I think, 100 for 1 ounce of gold. And then year 4, it was like 10,000. And then by year 5, they were off the charts. They were in the billions, I think, or trillions. Right. So the end is always the fastest part of a collapse. But we've been in a collapse for the last 50 years. It's just been a very slow collapse. All right. I'm going to bring it down some. All right. Linda asks, how far is my brother from Palestine, Ohio? Close to 200 miles. Okay, let's see. Let's bring it. Okay, forgive me if I miss anything. Where are we at? We have about maybe 10 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you very much for joining in today. I hope that some of you that are here don't normally get to join in on Friday and Sunday. I hope that those of you that can't normally join in on Friday or Sunday's live stream, that maybe you are able to make it today. So I appreciate you joining in. Let me see. Osama Shehata. Osama Shehata, how are you, by the way, all the way from the UK? If you're talking about, is it available in the UK, a reverse osmosis system? It should be. It should be. I'm not sure if you have Amazon or not, but get on Amazon and look for reverse osmosis water filtration system. Or even if you just put in reverse osmosis, it should pop up several options. All right, I'm pretty sure that you guys should be able to get it over there. I don't see why not. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a pretty good deal for that Mega 5, $3,000, because it's 5,000 watts. So that's 60 cents per watt hour. I think anything under 67 cents a watt hour is a pretty good deal. But not only that, all of the peripherals that it comes with is pretty awesome. Man, you know, that's an awesome deal. It really is. How much is the battery? I don't know how much the battery is, the external battery. Let me know, Teresa, let me know if you know how much the external battery is. Let me know how much it is. I'm just curious. Let's see. Oh, man, I'm missing a lot. I apologize. Jean Blair, I actually have some of those chocolates up there, but I'm just not a sweets kind of guy. Jean Blair says, you need those memory chocolates. I actually have some. They sent me a few boxes for Christmas, I think it was. They sent me like 3 boxes. I may be eating 2 packs. I just don't really do sweets that much. I just like to eat, ladies and gentlemen. Stephanie, how do I know if I've purchased real silver coins and bars 1 ounce? You can always buy a tester on Amazon. They're like, I don't know, $12, $10, $12. You can test your silver. However, if you buy silver, or gold from like a coin shop, you should be able to ask them to test it for you in front of you. And they have a machine where they can test it and you can see that it's real or not. Emerald CS, does RO remove microplastics? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's see. Let's see. X24, how you doing? Is the reverse osmosis system from Costco any good? I have not seen a reverse osmosis system at Costco's brick and mortar store. I don't know if they have. I'm assuming that since you're asking that they have one on their website. I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, you know, I have a lot of faith in Costco. I think Costco, has a pretty good reputation as far as getting products that are pretty good quality. Okay, and so you know, I think all revert. Just make sure that the reverse osmosis system that you get, look at the specifications and just match it to other ones. They're all going to be pretty much the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. They're all going to have pretty much the same specifications, a reverse osmosis system, because the way that they're made, the RO membrane that back flushes the dirty water back out, that RO membrane is pretty much the same on all of them, right? Because it's what does the job, right? But so I can only talk to you about the ones that I use or have reviewed, that I've used. So I really don't like to talk about any other ones because I haven't used them or reviewed them. Well, yarn prepper, I would rather give up twice as much water, and I'm on I have to haul my own water, yarn. So I would rather give up twice as much water to get a clean glass of drinking water than not to. That's the way I see it, because reverse osmosis does use up water because it back flushes the water that's no good. But I see what you mean. But yeah, I definitely, we pay for our water. Yeah, that's I see what you mean, but I would still rather do that. Give up the water that I lose in order to have clean drinking water. Oh yeah, a water distiller is a great thing. I actually have a water distiller. I actually confiscated it from my son. But yeah, a water distiller is a great thing to use. It does use quite a bit of energy though, but it still works. It's just as good, in my opinion, as a reverse osmosis, if not better, because it's really pure water. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring this down a little bit because it is time for me. I actually have a roast cooking, and that's what we're having for dinner. So I can smell it over here. So I'm going to bring it down some. I know that. Oh, look at this. Is this Gray Man? Gray Man, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Are you trading silver for avocados? No, unless it's the avocados like the ones you sent me last, I'll trade no silver, okay? Good to see you, brother, and thank you, man. We had a good chat the other day, me and Gray. Can you use old bottled water for plants, toilets, etc., or can you boil and Yeah, you can use old bottled water for toilets and stuff like that. I don't see why not. I mean, if it was a worst case scenario and I had bottled water that was 2 years old, I would put it through a filter. Right, that's what I would do. I think that would work. I would put it through my countertop RO, reverse osmosis system. So yeah, but I mean, if you want to save some money, instead of going through bottled water, get an RO system and then use that system to fill up, 5-gallon containers with it. I think that would save you some money instead of having to use bottled water that you buy at the store. Let me see. Jacqueline Johnson asks, "What's the water gauge called to check the safe level of the water?" Or I think you're talking about the total dissolved solids. It's the little stick, the little water stick that you stick in there, and it gives you the parts per million of any dissolved solids in the water. That's pretty much what it is. Homestead Engineering, how you doing? Mr. Armstrong, I was thinking about you today for some reason. I don't know why. I must have seen one of your videos pass by or something like that. Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. If you guys haven't checked out Homestead Engineering, go check out Homestead Engineering. All right, he does everything. All right, he does. If you want to see how you can plant some potatoes, go check out Homestead Engineering. He does it right. Hey, I'm coming to your place, okay? When the SHTF. He has got the setup, I'll tell you that. An RO system works for anything, but it's like Yarn Prepper said, if you have hard water, it's going to back flush a lot of water out, but you're still going to end up getting good drinking water, okay? To tell you the truth, I don't even know how much water my RO system goes through because I have one that's plumbed into my pipes under the sink. So I have one that's an under the sink one, and it has a little drain that automatically drains the water back to my sink drain, so I never see how much water is coming out of it. Okay, that's going to be it for today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining in today. I really appreciate you all stopping by in the middle of the week, all right, and hump day, and I hope to see you all this Friday. And then continue to prepare, ladies and gentlemen, because that's what it's all about. Prepare. And once you've got all the preps that you think you need, just fill in the gaps. I actually went through my pantry today for something to do this morning and organized my batteries. I organized some foods and stuff like that, just tidying things up. But continue to fill in the gaps. Don't stop preparing. If you have everything that you think you're going to need forever, continue to learn, right? Because that's going to be the key as well. Don't plan on going to anyone's home. You know, when something bad happens that you think you can go to someone's home, because they may not take you, ladies and gentlemen, and you may not get there. So if you want one of those people that say, I'm going to go to your house when the SHTF, whatever that SHTF may be, what if you can't get there and you have no preps because you were planning on going to someone's home, right? Or what if when you get there, they won't accept you? All right. It's your responsibility to prepare for yourselves and for your families, especially if you have children. So it's something that you need to take serious, but it's not something that you have to live every day like I do. I love doing this. It's what I do. I think it's what I was meant to do. Having said that, again, God bless every one of you. Have a safe rest of your week. Hope to see you all here on Friday, and we will be on at 2 p.m. Alaska time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And remember, not this Friday coming up, but the Friday after that is going to be the last live stream of the month. And for those of you that want to sponsor your local food banks, all right, for those of you that want to sponsor your local food banks, because it's a great food bank and you love the people there, then make sure that you're here on that live stream, because I'm going to be picking one of you to sponsor your food bank by sending your food bank a $500 check. All right, so that's going to be at the end, the last live stream of this month. I think it falls on the 26th of February, but don't quote me on that. All right, so hope to see you all this Friday. And again, God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. And if you are new to the channel, put I am new or I'm new, and we'll shout you out during the outro. All right, God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.